Hi, I'm Chef Frank and this is Proto Cooks. Today we're going to make pickled onions. Pickled onions are a great condiment to have in your fridge. You keep them in the fridge, they last for a good couple of weeks. You can put them on burgers, sandwiches, salads, tacos. They're just great to have around. And when you make a big batch, you can put them in the fridge. They're ready for when you are. Let's get into it. First thing we're going to do for the pickled onions is make the brine. I have a sauce pot. And to the sauce pot, I'm going to add distilled vinegar, okay? If you want to use fancy vinegar, feel free to use the fancy vinegar. I like distilled vinegar because it's very neutral as far as vinegars go. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but it has a higher acid content than, say, red wine vinegar or, white wine vinegar. I like to use it. It's super cheap, and it's really great for pickling. So I have about 3 cups of distilled vinegar, 2 cups of water, kosher salt, 1 cup, and then a little more than 1/4 cup of sugar. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put it on the fire and just bring it to a boil so that everything dissolves. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to pour it on top of my onions. And what this does is it's going to give them a nice kind of salty, savory flavor, a little vinegary flavor, cuts the sharpness of the onions, and helps preserve it. So this is really a quick pickle. It's not going to take a long time, and my onions will be ready to eat within hours. So I'm going to go over to the stove, put this on, and let it come to a boil. First, we're going to cut the onions. I have a plain Spanish onion. If you want to use red onions, you can. If you want to use white onions or Vidalias, be my guest. I'm just using a regular cheap onion. So I take the ends off. You can use these for stock. You don't have to throw them away. Cut it in half. Take off the outer peel. Usually this layer it's a little tough and it's kind of like skin. And then I'm going to slice. And if I was doing a julienne, I would cut with the lines, but I'm going to cut across those lines a fairly thin slice. When I get to the end, if I have to, just give it a little slice there and then slice it. What's great about this cut is that they'll get a little soft and they'll absorb the marinade fairly quick. Next, we're going to cut the peppers. I have an Italian long hot pepper here. You can use jalapenos, you can use serranos, whatever hot pepper you want. And the Italian long hots are a little spicy, probably less spicy than a jalapeno or serrano. When I cut the pepper, I'm just going to cut off the end, get rid of the stem. I'm going to keep the seeds in here. Most people think that the seeds are what's spicy. That's not what's spicy about the pepper. It's actually the membrane. So you see this little white membrane in there? That's actually where a lot of the spice comes from. So I'm just going to cut this into rings. I think it looks good. It's also kind of an approximate size of the onion, which is nice. So we cut it. As I get to the end, I usually just put a little angle to it so it's not a big lump. And there's the peppers. And then last, we're going to cut the garlic. And I'm not doing too much to this. All I'm going to do is give it a whack, take the shell off, and throw it in with the onions. With the garlic, I'm just going to take off the outside husk of the garlic. So I just give it a little tap with my knife. And the garlic is just going to be a background flavor. It's not going to have a strong garlic flavor. I just like to have a little in there. So you take off the shell or the husk or the paper, whatever you want to call it, and that's what we're going to do. It's a little broken up. It's just basically cracked. I have 2 deli containers or plastic containers. I get these at my local restaurant supply store. A sleeve of them is really not that expensive. A sleeve is about $4 or $5. You can buy a sleeve of the lids as well. These are quarts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clove of garlic each, take a bay leaf. This is a big one, so I'm going to take half each. And then I have a mixture of peppercorns and coriander seeds, and each of these about half into each container. So there's that. And then I'm going to take my onions that I sliced and I'm going to put them in kind of equally. Give them a little shake down. Like shake them down a little, and then some peppers, and kind of do this in layers. The peppers, you don't have to put as much in. So we're just going to take the onions. There's a couple of dry pieces, get rid of those. And these are going to shrink up a little, but don't be afraid to push them down. I want to pack it in there real good. Okay, some more peppers. And then some more onions. Get them in there real good. Okay. And then we're going to pour the hot liquid over them. So I have my brine or my pickling liquid, and I have my onions and peppers and my spices. And all I'm going to do is ladle this over the top. My liquid is hot. You might spill a little, that's okay. Maybe put a towel down. And I'm just going to ladle this over the top. And we're going to put these kind of in a warm place over by the stove. And let them sit out at room temperature, maybe for about an hour. And then I'm going to throw them in the fridge. I'm going to finish topping these off with the rest of the liquid. And because these are a quick pickle, I don't have to worry about them being canned. I'm not canning them. Let me take this over here. So they're just going to basically go into the fridge after they sit for a little while. So I'm not too worried about them being sealed all that well. I just really want them to be covered for flavor, okay? I have some lids. I'm going to take my lids, put them on. This one might be a little over. I'm just going to pour a little out, stuff it in there, okay? And that's my pickled onions. What I normally do with this is I get a piece of painter's tape, put the name and the date on here. I'm going to let them sit probably for about a half hour, 45 minutes, so they stay hot, and then I'm going to throw them in the fridge, and tomorrow they'll be ready. That's the great part about having a quick pickle, is that you make them and they're ready, not necessarily immediately, but they're ready pretty quick. So these are my pickled onions. I'm Chef Frank. This is Proto Cooks. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. I try and answer as many comments as I can. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy.